So last year, you remember me saying the phrase, because I said so. If you weren't here last year, well, I said the phrase a few times. It kind of became a thing that I repeated, because I said so. Now, it doesn't mean in the way you might have heard it from your mom or dad. It's a power statement, because I said so. And so that really could be a tag today to this topic. My word is power, because I said so. It's just absolutely perfect. So keep the because I said so in your mind all the way through this. So I'm going to start with Ernest Holmes. This other book, however, let's play this one. Science of Mind textbook. He says, the words which you speak would be just as powerful as the words which Jesus spoke. If you knew that your word was the law, whereunto it was sent. But you must know, and he does this in all caps, K-N-O-W. You must know this within, and not merely accept it with your intellect. If you have reached a point where the inner consciousness believes, then your word, and I love this, is simply an announcement of reality. Capital R, reality. Now, please don't hear that as any kind of wrong saying or blasphemy against Jesus, because he said, greater things than these shall you do. Our word would be just as powerful as his if we knew. But sometimes that's where we get hung up, right? We doubt. If we have reached the point where our inner consciousness believes, then your word is simply an announcement of reality. I love the casualness that Ernest Holmes says that with. It's just an announcement of reality. I am abundant is just, it's an announcement of reality. I am healthy, The doubt goes away, the consciousness remains, and we just say this is what it is. This is so. Sounds so simple to do. If our life isn't showing up the way we would like it to, if we're not manifesting things and people and situations and experiences, if it's not showing up in ways that we say, yeah, this is good, then it's up to us to change our mind. We must begin by changing our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, and make choices that line up with that. Now, I would like us to all stop separating our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, and our choices. There's no need to separate them all. We can put them in one big package called consciousness. Our consciousness, our awareness of the spirit within, is in all those aspects. It's in our, what we might call our mind, but our mind isn't contained to our brain. Our mind is the intelligence within us everywhere. Our feelings are not just contained to our heart, although that's what we do, right? We say our mind and our heart. It's kind of natural to do that, but there's no need to separate those things. Our mind, our thoughts, our feelings, our deep beliefs, and our choices, all part of what we would call consciousness. They're all interwoven. If you've been around a long time, you've heard a couple of taglines that we have. One of them, change your thinking, change your life. Change your thinking, change your life. The other one is on the wall right there. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. It all sounds so easy. And on some level it is. We just announced the reality. Change our thinking, change our life. Be ye transformed by the renewing of our mind. Really wonderful. It's a big part of what we teach here. And what I know from my own experience, and maybe some of you do too, is that both of those things tend to take a good amount of focus, and they tend to take a good amount of time. They don't have to, but here's the deal. If you've been thinking for years and years and years and years and years that having a good relationship is hard, because songs and TV tell us that it is, if you have that somewhere inside of your consciousness, relationships are hard. Changing your mind to have a good relationship is not going to happen overnight. That's what I mean by time. You can do it, you just keep applying, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. You keep applying the same thought of how you'd like to see your life, that relationships are beautiful, relationships are graceful and easy. But the old thought, especially if you learned it when you were taught, relationships are hard. Love stinks, those songs say. It's going to take just a little bit of time to change your thinking and change your life. Change your conscious awareness until you start to see the ease of relationships show up. That's all. It's just a process of sort of cleaning out the old thoughts and replacing them with the new thoughts of what we really want to have. Sometimes it sounds so simplistic, it's like, could that really be true, Sean? Yeah, it really is that true. Continue to clean out, continue to put in what you want. Pretty soon you start to see that, yes, it is true. It does manifest just like that. Because changing our thinking is engaging the spiritual law. It's engaging spiritual law. Now here's the simplistic way to talk about some spiritual law. It's just the way God works. It's just the way God works. Moving from an invisible, intelligent, creative force through its own self shows up in form. So don't make a big, hard thing to understand about law. Spiritual law just is working. You have nothing to do with it. So just say, okay, there's this law that is responding to my thinking. So every time we change our thoughts, every time we have deep thoughts and beliefs, it is engaging that spiritual law. The way the source works is that source, another name for God, remember, provides everything. Already provides everything. The way we engage it is through our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, and our choices. We must engage it, all right? Or else it's like we don't have a direct funnel for something to show up. Yes, God's providing everything. What is it that you would like? So I kind of imagine it sometimes as like a funnel to me of health and abundance and whatever it is I'm working on. That it can come to me by me choosing it. That is our God power. Richard, if you'll click up the slide, we all have a superpower. It's God power. So you can think of yourself as a superhero today, and your superpower is that you have God power. Okay? Every single one of us, you can fly, we don't need to fly. We just have a superpower available to us. It's our God power, and it's right here. And how do we engage it? Thought, feeling, belief, choice, in other words, consciousness. And we must engage it. Now I'm going to do Engaging the Spiritual Law, part 1 and part 2. It's going to somehow touch everybody in some way, shape, or form. Part 1 is the how-tos. Those of you who like give me the bullet points of how do I do this. Those of you who really like that, you might want to get out a piece of paper and a pen. Okay? This is part 1. So here's what I'm saying the how-tos are. First of all, we must be aware. Let's pop up the first one here. The how-tos are: be aware that the reciprocal nature of law is always working. Okay? The be aware is the big part, and then the little part comes after. Be aware of what? That this reciprocal nature of law is always working. Reciprocal nature of law. It's always working. If you haven't proven that for yourself, you can prove it very, very quickly. You just start thinking some really negative thoughts, and you'll start to see how those show up. At least you'll start to feel like this. You kind of drag it down. And then you do the opposite. You start to say, oh, the reciprocal nature. If I'm thinking positive thoughts, you'll start to see that it lifts you up. You grow taller. And you start to see those showing up in your life. It doesn't take much. You can just do it yourself. But the first thing is be aware that it's always working. The second thing, choose your thoughts. You've heard it before, but it's a good reminder. Choose your thoughts that align with what you want to experience. Okay, take a deep breath, because this is the place where sometimes it can take time. Because sometimes we don't even know what thoughts we have lurking. And they're hanging out. But when I mentioned about the relationships are hard. At face value, most of you probably say, no, I don't believe that. But if you start to dig deep, it's like, oh, maybe I do have a little bit of that. All right? So we want to choose the thoughts that align with what we want to experience. With what we align. So if I want a healthy relationship, the idea of love stinks is counterproductive. The idea of love is graceful, love is beautiful, love is mine. The perfect relationship is mine right now. Right? We want to get those thoughts in alignment with what we say we want. Because what I know is our humanness, we go, I want a healthy relationship. Wait, let me do it this way. I have a friend named Connor. He said it this way, just reminded. He said, you got two hands. One is, I want a healthy relationship. And the other one is, but all men are jerks. So now which are we getting? All right? So we want to say, I want a healthy relationship. And the perfect love is in my life. Okay, so that's what I mean by choosing the thoughts that align. Be careful that we're not saying